Welcome, everyone, to the next in our series of interviews. I'm truly honored and privileged to be greeted and to be welcoming today Rabbi Sam Millucent of Belmont United Synagogue, a dear friend and colleague, and somebody who, when I heard a bit about his story, I thought would be of exceptional interest to our community. So, Rabbi Sam, good evening and welcome.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for joining us. So we're going to dive straight in, and I wanted, obviously, perhaps you can share with us a bit about your background. You're the rabbi in Belmont, but tell us a bit about your upbringing, your background, because you're not, I believe, from these shores. Tell us a bit about it.
So I grew up in Chicago until I was 18, and then I made Aliyah to Israel. When I met my wife, we moved to London for a few years, and then we were back to Israel and Kollel. And then recently, about a year and a half ago, we had the opportunity to come and join Belmont as the rabbi in Rebbetzin, and we've been here since then.
And you're doing a phenomenal job. And I have to say, having heard you speak, you're certainly somebody who's exceptionally uplifting, inspirational, and no doubt a huge asset to Belmont community. So before October the 7th, as you've already mentioned, you were a communal rabbi and you were educating and leading that community. Tell us about, October the 7th. Where were you? You remember? I mean, obviously, I presume you were in shul. Tell us a bit about it and how that changed things.
So we have a shir every Shabbat before davening. So we came down from the shir. And one of my community members said, there's something going on in Israel, which sometimes, you hear whatever it is, however you heard about it. And we knew it was something a little bit more serious than normal. I mean, from time to time, you hear about things going on in Israel. And as the day went on, obviously more details trickled in, and we understood that this was something which we had never, certainly not in my lifetime, we had never experienced before. And it's difficult here because it's a 2-day Chag. So we really didn't know what was going on. The next day, even more details, and you heard about people being paraded through the streets. And it was very difficult to keep up an uplifted spirit throughout the Chag. In fact, we didn't actually do Hakafot. We read through the Hakafot and said Tehillim instead of dancing with the Sefer Torah. My entire community said, we refuse to dance. We're not going to dance. We can't dance. It's not how we're not able to celebrate like that. So we instead utilized the structure of Hakafot to say Tehillim. And, that was it. We sort of were waiting for the Chag to go out to find details. And it was really worse than we could ever have imagined.
Okay. So after the Chag, after the festival, obviously you found out more details. What happened next for you? Because obviously you've been in Israel and served in Israel.
So I was active in reserve duty in Miluim before I came here, and so I immediately.
Can you just tell us, sorry, just before you move on, can you just tell us a bit about where you served? What was your role in the Israeli army?
When I was in active duty, I was a combat medic in the Givati brigade. Just a regular soldier. And then I obviously, everybody, when they get out, they then do reserve duty for a month or two per year to keep up their skills and whatever. So I immediately sent a text message to my commander and I said to him, can I come? And there was a lot of confusion that was happening at that time. And, I'm sure that there are stories that have come out of the various, tragedies that happened even amongst our own soldiers. And because there were so many soldiers converging on such a small area, it was difficult to get a handle on things. So he said, don't come now, but if we need you, we'll call you. And at that point, I had already gotten the shul's backing to go if I needed to go, and the United Synagogue were behind me as well, which was very nice. It was very quick. And, within a few hours, my chairman and chairwoman made the phone calls and, everything was sorted out logistically. It just happened to be that they didn't need me at that moment. So they said, we'll call you.
Can I just ask, you said that you had the backing of the shul, the United Synagogue.
Yes.
One important person, obviously your wife. How did that go down when, after October the 7th, when you were considering being called up?
So these things are not, I mean, I'll tell you the way that we framed it in our family. This wasn't a choice for us.
Okay.
Obviously, not everybody has the ability to join the army. Not everybody has the requisite training or experience and background. But for somebody who does, it's very clear that there's no choice. It's a mechemet mitzvah. You have to go. It's a war that's incumbent upon you to fight to protect other Jewish people. I mean, you hear the stories of the heroism of people who were in Israel on the 7th, who
Yeah.
left their families and went down south to try and protect other Jews without knowing them, without having any structure or any safety net, and really were ready to sacrifice their lives, and in many cases did, for their country. And that's really what a mechemet mitzvah is. It's it's you are instructed to save Jews when you can. And so it wasn't a choice for us. It was difficult and frightening, but it wasn't something we had to think twice about.
Okay. So when did you get your call up?
So for the next 3 weeks, we sort of did things here. We did, evenings of solidarity and learning and, et cetera, whatever we could do from here. And then 3 weeks later, I got a phone call from my commander or a text message on a Monday, and he said, "Can you come to Israel? We need you." And then by that Thursday, I was already flying out, and I joined my unit the following Sunday.
Okay. So tell us a bit about that, because obviously you're coming from England, a communal rabbi, and now you're being transported and transforming into Israeli soldier. What was that like for you?
It's funny. It's sort of like riding a bike. Once you get all your equipment and whatever, it's just like you're taking back 15 years to when you were in active duty, like no time passed.
Okay.
And it was guys that I had served with before, so we sort of knew each other. And it was interesting talking about this balance between being a soldier and a rabbi. So most of my unit is not religious.
Okay.
But what's interesting about, and this is something I think which has changed within me from before the war till now, is that every single person there, no matter, people would walk up to me and say, I don't fast, I don't Kippur, I'm not religious at all, but all they want to talk about is Torah, and all they want to talk about is spirituality, and all they want to talk about is God. So you say to yourself, well, what kind of non-religious person are you? You're doing a bad job. So it really was, it's very incongruous also, because you're not davening at set times because you might be doing things, or there was one person who was religious in his civilian life, but then when he was in the army, he said, I have to smoke on Shabbat. This is something that I have to do. And the rabbi there, this other rabbi said to him, but that's a mitzvah because it's calming you down and it's making you ready to fight if you need to fight. And he reframed it for him in a very inspiring way. So it really is very odd from a religious perspective to be in this environment with so many different people and not really set times for anything. So it was interesting.
Okay. So now you're in the Greens. Okay. You've joined up with Golani. Where did you have to go?
So we were stationed in what's called the Otef. The Otef is the area, the envelope right outside of Gaza. So we were patrolling on the border. My particular unit's job is to move people away from the battlefield if they get injured. But so we did that some of the time. And then a lot of times we were patrolling. We were stationed inside of the different yeshuvim, the settlements there. So, near Oz, for example, which was one of the hardest hit yeshuvim, we were there.
Yes.
Saw the houses, saw the destruction. And we were basically there the entire time, in and out of Gaza a little bit, but thankfully I wasn't stationed inside of Gaza proper, which many other people were. And, that's a double-edged sword also, because you say to yourself, well, of course I want to be there, but then, I have a family, I have children. So,
So your job so you were active in your medic role in the up and down the envelope.
Right. Yeah. So we were on the border and we were patrolling along the border and doing security for the various settlements there. And then, every so often we'd have a mission to go inside of Gaza and come back out.
Can you share with the viewers any stories or anything, or any people that you met, anything that would be inspiring that you came across?
There is one story which has stuck with me, and I think probably will for the rest of my life. I met a rabbi called Shlomo Aviner, who's the Rosh
Yes.
Hashiva of Ateret Kohanim in the Old City.
Yeah.
He's French by origin, very sort of funny, sarcastic kind of guy. He's a great rabbi to know. Anyways, he came and gave us a talk on the base. And he said that, we obviously have this principle in Judaism that somebody who dies because they're Jewish merits the highest levels of reward, whatever that means. And it's the holiest type of death. And so he said that somebody that he was close to asked him, why is it that the people who were at this festival on Shabbat, who weren't ostensibly religious, they weren't keeping Shabbat, they weren't connected in that way, why is it that they merited such a holy death? Why was it them who merited to die this way? And he said, you don't understand. Every single person at that festival was searching for Hashem. They were searching for spirituality. They may not have done it in the way that you or I would have chosen to do it, but they were all looking for something. And then I met a guy, one of the guys in my unit, his brother was supposed to be at the party, and he wasn't. But his friends were, and they were all unfortunately killed. And one of those friends, he had sent a text message to a few days beforehand. He said, I'm feeling down. I'm not really, I'm having a bad day. Can you send me some good energy? And he said, I expected him to send me back a text message, whatever. He sent him back a 5-minute video clip of him singing a song. And this is somebody he's not religious in a typical song. And what song did he choose to sing him? Elokai neshama shenatata bi teorahi. God, the soul you've given me is pure. Why is that the song that, the people in Israel, and this is true of all Jews, everybody is looking and searching. And the idea that we have to first and foremost understand that we are one nation and show respect to one another, I think is never going to leave me. There's a midrash that says that when the Jews are united, even if they're all idol worshippers, nobody can stand against them. And if they're not united, even if they're all tzaddikim, then we're going to fall. And I think that's really what I'm taking away from the whole experience.
Beautiful. What can you just share with us a little bit the mindset, the mentality, in terms of the soldiers, because obviously they're there for the long haul. It's exceptionally demoralizing in what they're doing and the struggles that they're facing. How would you find that? How did you find the morale?
It's difficult. I would say on the whole, the morale is good.
Okay.
Especially if you are with people who you value and care about and trust. I think that's probably the most important thing, is having friends around you, people that you care about, which fortunately my unit does, and we were lucky to have very good cohesion within the unit. It is difficult. There's a lot of uncertainty, but that's really built into the structure of the army. You never know what's going to happen from day to day. So to a certain extent, people are okay with that uncertainty. They're okay with not knowing what's going to happen. But again, people have been in there for now almost 100 days. And there's really no end in sight for a lot of us. So who knows? So overall, the morale is good, but there's an underlying question of what's going to be the day after. And, people are starting to talk politics again. So, the question is, once this whole period sort of starts to wind down, can we take the lessons that we've learned and move forward? So I think that's really an open question.
And what have you taken back, lastly, to your community from this experience?
So a few things. Number one, what I mentioned to you before about just respecting everybody, no matter what their background is. And the second thing is how precious life is and how quickly it can end. For any number of reasons, and you can have healthy, and you look at the 172 people that have been killed so far, 122 soldiers in Israel, and you look at who they are, and they're all the best of the best. Mm-hmm. And they're all young and healthy, and you read the letters that they've left behind, and you say to yourself, why these people?
Yeah.
So what I try to convey to my community is that every single moment of life is precious, and you never know how or when or what's going to happen. And coupled with that, though, is this idea, and I'm going to quote you now from one of the soldiers. His name is Ben Zussman. He wrote a letter to his family on the way to the base, and he was unfortunately killed.
Yeah.
One of the things he said was, if I'm going to die, I'd like to die for my country and protecting the Jewish people. And so if we understand that our lives always hang by a thread, they always hang by in the balance. The only thing we can do really is live lives that vindicate our existence, live good lives that we'd be proud to have led no matter when we die. And then our life will never be in vain if we die, unfortunately, in our 20s, or if we die as a member of my community did recently at 100.
Absolutely. Rabbi Sam, thank you so much for joining us. It's been absolutely a humbling and inspirational experience. And of course, we look forward to hearing you at the Melava Malka for the Rabbinical Council and the Dayanim and Chief Rabbi. But on behalf of Woodside Park community and beyond, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you tremendous hatzlacha, tremendous success in your continued work in leading Belmont, one of the outstanding communities of United Synagogue.
Thank you.
Thank you.